Okay guys, we have come a long way, but now we have the grand final of the Solary Cup 2021, a mixed style competition organized by Solary and sponsored by Objective Code. And yeah, firstly, thank you to Solary for letting me cast this one. Thank you for them to letting us having an English-speaking cast, which is great. And now we have 4 players who fight it out for a prize pool of €2,000, 1,000 for first, 500 for second, and then 250 for third and fourth position. So we're gonna play for first and second place. So that will be a great one. Point limit will be 120, but you might ask yourself, okay, point limit, what is he talking about? Okay, I'm gonna explain the format real quick, because we have 5 maps in the map pool. The first one will be Wisdom 2. And on those 5 maps, we have 1 warm-up, as you can see, indicated by this yellow time. And after the warm-up, we have 4 live rounds where players can, on each round, or will collect points. You get 10 points for first, 6 points for second, 4 points for third, and then 3 points for fourth position. And that means you collect those points and they will get added up to your balance. And you have to collect those points to the point of 120, and then you activate the finalist mode. Finalist mode means that you have to win 1 more round in finalist mode to win it. Top 2 will be played out. First gets €1,000 and second 500, third and fourth, as mentioned beforehand, €250. And yeah, those are the players. We have CarlJr playing the team Solary driver. Then we also have hugo220, who was very close of making it to the Trackmania Grand League, as well as MiQuatro. And then also Aurel, the gaming privé player. So they are fighting it out here for that prize pool. Aurel lagging a bit, but I hope that he's fine. But that will definitely be a great grand final. Wisdom 2 is the first map. And there we have a WR from CarlJr, of course, 57.51. He was really defining the pace on this map. And I'm looking forward if he can do it again. So good luck to the players. The warm-up has ended. And now we're going to go live with the first round. Okay, let's take a look who will take the first 10-pointer. You can see the point limit there in the top right, 120 points. And let's take a look who will get the first 10 points. Will it be CarlJr, the favorite here, who was really playing well, but right now finding himself on that third or even last position by not getting as much speed in this upper as the other players. MiQuatro, Hugo and Aurel are leading though. They are leading the round. And right now, CarlJr is only on third position there, overtaking Aurel, but also not getting the best speed there compared to MiQuatro and Hugo, who are leading. Let's take a look now. The part really important to not steer as much as possible, get a good alignment, and here holding your gear. And MiQuatro does it really good. Hugo loses the grip. Aurel on second though, and CarlJr is also capitalizing. Now, not capitalizing for that because Hugo is staying ahead of him, but MiQuatro taking the first 10 points here with a 57.91. That is roughly 0.4 away from WR, or exactly 9.4 away if you exclude the thousands of seconds. But MiQuatro with the first 10 points here. MiQuatro with the first 10-pointer, and definitely a great start for the Finnish driver. So every player has already secured €250. And let's see who will get the victory in the second round here, as we have Aurel again with a great start. You look at that great minimization of airtime, and also a lot of speed has been preserved by him, and he is with that leading the round. CarlJr again, not with a good start here. 3 points for him for the Solary player, and maybe he has not really arrived in this one just yet, but gets a great section here. Maybe goes into the lead, goes so close there to the wall, but gets a good amount of speed. Hugo and Aurel are still ahead of him, but Aurel not with the best approach in this part. Also MiQuatro's in the mix. Who will get that 10-pointer here? Hugo is just bumping away. MiQuatro can maybe get it here, as Aurel has not the best speed here. And MiQuatro with a great line. Let's take a look. Is MiQuatro gonna snipe it? It is not enough. 17 thousandths of a second between Aurel and MiQuatro, and Aurel will eventually get himself that first 10 points. And yo, Massa with the raid with 500 people. Thank you so much, Massa. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Dennis. Dankeschön. So we have the grand final of the Solary Cup coming up now, and you guys just join in time because we have Hugo, CarlJr, MiQuatro, and Aurel fighting it out for a cash prize of 2,000 euro. 2,000 euro is on the line. And right now, MiQuatro and Aurel have the best start. CarlJr only with 7 points in 2 rounds here, but right now he is leading the rounds. Great start for CarlJr, 16,000 ahead of Aurel, but now this part is of course really decisive because the car is behaving differently with the reactor boost attached. CarlJr, however, is leading here. Great amount of speed accumulated by him, but Aurel and Hugo are not slowing down, and also it is MiQuatro. No, he's actually a little bit further behind, and also Aurel with a mistake, so it's between Hugo and CarlJr. CarlJr holds the gear, Hugo falls tremendously behind, and CarlJr could actually get a good time. Hugo with a mistake, and so will MiQuatro snipe that second position. And actually, not a good time here, 58.40. That was definitely not that good of a time. It is almost 1 second away from WR, but still enough to win rounds. And with that, CarlJr coming dangerously closer to MiQuatro and Aurel. So MiQuatro still leading with 2 second places and 1 first position. He is right now leading the pack, only 2 points ahead of Aurel, who's on second, and then CarlJr with that 10-pointer there, of course, coming a bit closer. Hugo, only 10 points for him, so only 3rd and 4th position for him thus far, but maybe he can do it in this round. It was also surprisingly for me. He did a great comeback, but he was stumbling a lot. But if Hugo, of course, is waking up, he can definitely do some damage and win rounds and also dominate matches also against players like Aurel and CarlJr. He just needs to get in the momentum, not getting it very well here, but still holds the gear. CarlJr leading, Hugo with a good amount of speed though. Despite having that outside approach, he will overtake Aurel, but CarlJr will stay ahead and drops a sub 58 time, a 57.92. Great time from CarlJr. Hugo on second, and Aurel and MiQuatro on 3rd and 4th. So CarlJr with that goes into the lead, and we're gonna go to the next map just now. Okay, the next map is a bot. A bot is the next map, and of course, who has the WR? Yeah, CarlJr. Who else? Set 2 hours ago. Set 2 hours ago by the legend, one of the best, or arguably the best player out there. And he has shown us here in the warm-up and also in the semi-final. He was playing very well there. But the question is, can he do it here as well? I mean, there's a lot on the line, and the other players have... yeah, they have nothing to lose. If they play against CarlJr, they can fully risk it, and maybe that's their playing style. So I'm looking forward to see how they will cope the pressure against CarlJr, because it's definitely there. Also, if you're someone like Aurel, you will probably feel pressure, or maybe you're just very experienced. So we're gonna check it out. Gonna see CarlJr is right now doing the warm-up the best, but so does it MiQuatro. But let me actually use this opportunity to drink some water. Great. Great, great, great. Gonna, yeah, get some Massa Hydrate in the chat. And again, Massa, thank you so much for the raid. If you don't know Massa, I mean, then you probably missed something. He's a very nice guy and also a great streamer. Check him out, leave him a follow, and let's go into the first round here on a bot. Let's go, let's go. And follow Hugo, who's at 16 points, so an average of only 4 points thus far for him accumulated in every round, and he's 8 points away from Aurel, the 3rd position. But we see 2 mistakes here already from MiQuatro and Aurel just when I speak about them, and CarlJr is fighting it out with Hugo at the moment. MiQuatro and yeah, Aurel, they have to get themselves a 1st or 2nd position here, else CarlJr is just walking away. But look at this, Hugo with a god tier jump here, also getting a lot of speed, but CarlJr got it a bit better though. But still the fight is on. This bumpy section is deciding a lot. Hugo leading though, and let's follow CarlJr for this last part of the track. 1,000 between them. Look at that. Only 6,000 of a second in this part. Hugo versus CarlJr in the ending. Hugo with a good amount of speed, and Hugo will eventually get himself a 10-pointer here with a 58.12. MiQuatro and Aurel just behind there in third and fourth. But man, great round from Hugo, and also a great low jump there that is deciding a lot on this track. So great round from Hugo. So again, point limit is 120. We're playing cup mode on those 5 respective maps with 4 rounds. Point repartition is 10, 6, 4, and 3 for the for the placements, or for the placement that you get in. And so far it is CarlJr leading with 33 points in 5 rounds. As CarlJr is not getting the best start here, and Aurel is ahead. Great start here, 0.14 ahead actually. And then we see MiQuatro lagging a bit, being a bit delayed. But look at the, oh my dude, this at this point I would call this illegal, this low jump from CarlJr. He just caught up 0.3 of a second with that. That is absolutely ridiculous what CarlJr did there. That was very, very well executed, and he is in the lead. Followed up by MiQuatro, and then there's Hugo behind. Aurel has made the mistake, but CarlJr will take that 10-pointer here with a 57.98. MiQuatro setting a match PB with a 58.08, which was enough to win a round, but in the prior rounds. But yeah, CarlJr is just unstoppable and goes for is extending his lead here to 43 points. Great to see that. 43 points for CarlJr. And yeah, it's very close actually. Aurel falling down to P4 or tied P4 or P3 with Hugo, who had a great round number 5, or the great round 1 on this map. And right now also with a great start. Look how close Hugo was going there. Look at that. He's 0.13 ahead and is not missing out on any risk here. He is just pushing it like a berserker. And yeah, Aurel and MiQuatro are behind. Carl has made a mistake, so he's 1 second behind, and he will probably not play a role in this round. But the fight for first is going on between Aurel and Hugo. Oh, but Hugo both with the bump and coach. No way. No. Okay, at this point, that was a certified CarlJr moment. Yes. What is happening? No way. No way, Carl. Dude, everyone would have gotten 3 points in this round when you make a mistake at the start. But no, CarlJr gets a 10-pointer. Alright. So CarlJr extending his lead to 15 points. And yeah, well, that is a certified PayPal moment. And again, CarlJr with a mistake here, finding himself more than 1 second behind this time around, because that mistake was worse than the other one. 1.6 seconds to be exact. And CarlJr down to P4. MiQuatro and Hugo are fighting out for first. Then we see Aurel just a little bit behind, but of course this low jump is deciding a lot. Aurel, look at the speed and the risk that he has taken there, but Hugo gets it way better there than Aurel, and also MiQuatro. Aurel bumping now a bit safer, gets a little bit more airtime, but still is in the race. He is still in the race. Hugo and MiQuatro are in the lead though, so Aurel is only getting himself 4 points. Still, yeah, not too bad, but you want to have more than that. You want to go into the top 2, get 10 or 6 points, and that's what Hugo and MiQuatro have done here. So MiQuatro coming closer, and now all of them are actually tied for second. Really? Wow. It's tied for second place. 44 points for all 3 players behind CarlJr. Okay. Oh no, never mind. It's 44 Aurel. Ah, never mind. I was having a knick in my optic. Yeah, I was seeing that one not correctly there. I'm sorry, everyone. I am super sorry. But yeah, also I make mistakes. I'm not only a certified name butcher. Butcher. I I'm not only there to butcher your names, but I'm also there to not see correctly. So that's what you get from me as a caster and as a streamer. But the next map is Blueby, a map from Rocat. And yeah, this one was very close, and we had a great comeback here from Coco. He played very well on this track, but so did CarlJr, because CarlJr has WR on this track, and I'm looking forward to see how he will perform here as well, if he can extend his lead, or if MiQuatro or Hugo, and maybe even Aurel, who is at fourth position at the moment, can come closer or not. So one warm-up before the live rounds, and then we're gonna go live. Yeah, I said that before. One warm-up before the live rounds, and then we're gonna go live. Okay, it was a long day today. Whatever. You get the points. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Oh, man. Makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, good luck to the players. And let's go ahead. Let's go ahead with the first live round. On the Blueby, round number 1, it is CarlJr leading, and Hugo with a slowdown. Looked like a landing bug, but he clipped it there and got a penalty. So that was unfortunate for him. And yeah, also MiQuatro with a mistake, being 0.25 behind CarlJr. Not with the best line there. He was 0.1 ahead, but Aurel is coming a bit closer by the looks of it, but only having a bit more speed. But Aurel's ending was super, super fast, despite MiQuatro had a really weird line there in this downhill sector where the grass was. He is still in the fight for seconds, so great comeback from the Finnish player. CarlJr is leading though, 0.15 of a second, but Aurel has accumulated a lot of speed over this ice sector. Aurel can definitely snipe that 10 points away here from CarlJr. Is it enough in the ending? Aurel's ending was very great, but now he needs to defeat CarlJr. It's not enough here. CarlJr will take first with a 54.83. Aurel on second, MiQuatro on third, and then we see Hugo on fourth. So great rounds between them, but CarlJr has won it, and he's up to 66 points and has a lead of, ladies and gentlemen, 18 points already. And now the 10th round coming up. So CarlJr is dominating this match, and also was a bit lucky there. But of course, sometimes you just that, you know. Sometimes you're just a bit lucky, or you are a bit lucky in those situations. But that was definitely a certified CarlJr moment. But yeah, that's how it is, and CarlJr shows that he deserves more than just one 10-pointer in this round where both Hugo and Aurel have made a mistake. Right now, CarlJr is again leading the round ahead of Hugo, and then we see Aurel and MiQuatro battling it out for the 3 and 4 points here. As MiQuatro gets some airtime, and Hugo comes dangerously closer though to CarlJr and gets more speed. CarlJr with a mistake though. CarlJr with a mistake, falling down to third position or even fourth here. So Hugo will take this round. Aurel on second, and then we see MiQuatro on third, and CarlJr with a mistake on last. So the players are now coming a bit closer, and also a great time from Hugo, a 54.72. Great time from Hugo. Oh no, the first mistake from MiQuatro, getting a penalty there, and yes, 69 points for CarlJr. 69 points for him. Aurel and CarlJr fighting out for first. Aurel steering a bit too much there, and maybe got himself not the right gear. So he's down to P number 3. CarlJr ahead though, and goes so close there to the wall. What is that risky line from CarlJr? That was not... I could have not fit a piece of paper in between that line. That was so close here for CarlJr. Hugo with a big chunk of airtime there is still in the fight with CarlJr, but only... It's already 0.2 of a second between them. Now CarlJr not making a mistake. Let's see what time he's bringing to the tarmac. He had to release though. Hugo coming dangerously closer. Can he snipe it away? No, it's not enough. And CarlJr takes it here with a 0.79. Again, a great time. And CarlJr goes up to 79 points. Man. CarlJr with yet another 10 points. But it's so close for second place here. So 55 points for MiQuatro, falling down to P4 actually. P4 for MiQuatro at the moment, but only 8 points away here from Hugo. 8 points away. And that is not good, but a great start here into this round. Followed up, of course, the runner-up for the first position. It's the runner-up in this round. And CarlJr is leading old picture again. He's dominating. 0.17 of a second. Great start, but not the best alignment of this part. MiQuatro got it way better. You want to minimize your steering as much as possible. And now the ending is deciding it. Every player is in the mix. Aurel goes into the lead. CarlJr on second. MiQuatro on third. But we also have Hugo in the mix. Only 0.15 away. This is a crazy round to end it here all on Blueby. Who will get that 10-pointer? Is it MiQuatro, Aurel, or CarlJr? Aurel will stay ahead. MiQuatro almost snipes it. What a round. What a great round that was, and one of the closer rounds that we have seen thus far. Hugo gets last with a 55.05. Man. What a round. What a round, guys. Okay, the next map is the longest map in this map pool. We have Rafflesia. It's map number 4, and then after that we have a Mothership that is coming up. Let's take a look into the standings here. We have CarlJr leading with 83 points ahead of Aurel and Hugo, who are tied for second. And then MiQuatro is 5 points behind Hugo and Aurel. So we're gonna play it out for second position as well, because second is going home with 500 euro, first with 1,000, and third and fourth both with 250. So good luck to the players on this particular map. Rafflesia, the WR, surprisingly not from CarlJr. The WR is from Kerberos, a 0.19. And then we have CarlJr with a 0.25. Hugo has a 0.27, 106.27. And where is Aurel? Aurel has a 0.43. And then we have MiQuatro on 12 WR with a 0.44. So everyone in a close proximity to them or to each other. And only 0.3 away from WR. So everyone can make some damage there, as we see a lot of mistakes on this part here. Whereas it's really important to preserve as much speed as possible by landing in the slope. And also the ending. Want to get a smooth landing in there and not get a two-wheel landing. So good luck to the players. Warm-up has ended. And we're gonna go live with 4 live rounds on Rafflesia from Mephisto. Alright, let's take a look. CarlJr had to release though, a little bit by the looks of it. So he finds himself on last position. Hugo, MiQuatro and Aurel are leading though. Hugo with a great amount of speed, and yeah, MiQuatro needs to get himself that 10-pointer now to come dangerously closer to Hugo and Aurel. Else he find himself so far behind, but he makes that mistake. The Caster's Curse is kicking in yet again. The Caster's Curse is kicking yet again, and Hugo with that is leading. MiQuatro is on P4, and yeah, we've seen also a little bit of a blunder by CarlJr by not getting the best line there, as you might wonder where he was going to, but so he's only 0.2 away. He can definitely do some damage here in this round, maybe even get himself that first position. Hugo and Aurel fighting it out for first, but Hugo is so far away, so CarlJr comes into play for second, and Aurel with a mistake there. Aurel with a mistake, and CarlJr will take second. Hugo with a great time with a 106.43. What a time. That is 0.24 away, or no, 0.3 away from WR. No, 0.24. The WR is a 0.19. Man, that is a great time from Hugo. And with that, he gets himself, or extends the lead to Aurel, who were tied beforehand, or he creates a lead over him, or a gap of 6 points. And yeah, Aurel with that down to P3. And also MiQuatro is only 6 points away from him. Next round coming up. CarlJr still ahead. 89 points for him, of course, as I've mentioned beforehand. But also in this round, he's still ahead. 600ths of a second. That is great to see. Great goes for such a close line there to the checkpoint, but was not able to touch it. So CarlJr still 0.13 ahead, and he's on a banger of a time. He's on a great time here. Let's take a look. 0.12 between him and Hugo. But Hugo saying, hello, knock, knock, I'm here in the round. I can get that 10-pointer again. And he can go for it. Hugo with a great line. Goes into the lead. CarlJr had to travel more distance. Has a bit more speed. The ending will decide it though. Is Hugo staying ahead or will CarlJr snipe it? He has more speed, but it's not enough. Hugo with a great ending. Getting himself yet another 10-pointer. Man, that was absolutely ridiculous. What a round was that. So Hugo is coming closer to CarlJr. Only 9 points between them. Only 9 points between CarlJr and hugo220. Point limit is 120, chat. But let's go into the next round here, onto round number 3 on Rafflesia, or Rafflesia, and see who will be the victorious player. Hugo had a great ending section, but finding himself right now on that 4th position. So that is not that great for him. Aurel also with a weird jump, but actually gets it really good. I thought that he will touch a turbine there or something to the left. MiQuatro touching the CB and makes the first mistake in this round. CarlJr with a good line, but look at the speed from Hugo as well as Aurel, so they're not slowing down. They're definitely not slowing down here as CarlJr is 0.18 ahead, goes for a great line on that 3rd sector, and he is extending his lead there. But the question is, who's getting that 2nd position? Will it be Hugo or Aurel? Aurel with a great amount of speed, but Hugo with the direct approach and gets also a smooth landing here. But CarlJr, what time will that be? A 1:06.41. Oh my god, man. What is he doing? That is a great time, and with that CarlJr is up to 105 points. Okay, the last round on Rafflesia, or Rafflesia. I'm not even sure how to pronounce that, but maybe it's also a French word. I have no idea. But can CarlJr get himself yet another 10-pointer? Or will it be Hugo or Aurel, or maybe even MiQuatro? You can see a huge gap between 2nd and 3rd already. 15 points, because Hugo is playing out of his mind on this track. Just take a look here. He's 0.3 ahead. He's 0.3 or 0.13, sorry. 0.13 ahead of CarlJr. And then MiQuatro and... yeah, MiQuatro and Hugo, CarlJr are fighting it out as Hugo is leading. Aurel has made a mistake. And yeah, let's just take a look who will get the best ending here as CarlJr gets it really nicely. Great approach, great amount of speed here. Comes a bit closer, but still Hugo's leading, but makes that mistake. Hugo is crumbling under the pressure, and he was on a great time, but he is fading this part here, and he is dead as MiQuatro leads the round. Can he get it? It would be a very important 10-pointer for the Finnish driver, and yes, he will do so indeed. MiQuatro gets it, and that was a great line and a great run from Hugo till he made that mistake, but he still gets himself that 3rd position. Whew. Okay, Mothership could be the decider. It could be the decider. And definitely not a bad map for CarlJr. WR is from Kerberos. It is a 0.11 flat, if I recall it correctly. Yes, Kerberos with a 59.110. And then we had CarlJr, who again in the warm-up section, or in the warm-up phase where we waited for the matches to start, setting a time of 59.12. So CarlJr is ready on this map, and one more victory and he will grant himself the finals mode. So I'm looking forward to that, if CarlJr can make it happen or not. We're gonna find out very soon. Hugo gets a good warm-up here. Never mind. And also CarlJr had it great, but yeah, they're just warming up, preparing themselves mentally for the next round, because a mistake of course should not happen. And yeah, good luck to the players. Good luck to the players. Alright, first round is coming up. Let's see who will win it. CarlJr with a victory is in finalist mode and can get himself that first one. That first place, and with that 1,000 euro into his pocket. Great performance thus far throughout the entirety of the tournament. Maybe in the quarterfinal where he was beaten from Spam. He was stumbling a bit, but still Spam with a great performance here also throughout this whole tournament. That was great, but he unfortunately lost against Aurel and MiQuatro, and also to, yeah, Coco, who had a great performance. But yeah, now CarlJr is leading the round. Great amount of speed accumulated here for CarlJr. Look at that, he's 0.16 ahead of Aurel here. We're in front of Aurel, and then MiQuatro is also there in the fight. The ending is still there. CarlJr with a great apex, but so did it MiQuatro. Great amount of speed. CarlJr with more airtime. I think MiQuatro and Aurel can snipe it. It's enough speed for them. Aurel with the speed, and Aurel will not take it. Aurel will not take it here. It is CarlJr staying ahead 13 thousandths of a second, and CarlJr is up into finalist mode. Good luck to him. I actually thought that Aurel had it. I thought that Aurel had it here, but CarlJr is finalist, and he has at least 2 finalist attempts alone. So good luck to CarlJr, the Solary player. Will he win the Solary Cup 2021 and is going home with 1,000 euro, which is sponsored by Objective Code. So let's take a look. CarlJr already with a great start, 0.07 ahead of MiQuatro here. MiQuatro has to deny him, as well as Hugo, but Aurel is already out in this round. Aurel already 4 seconds behind, and also a great amount of speed here accumulated from CarlJr, but so did it Hugo. Hugo with such a risky line there. If Hugo wins 2 rounds, he will be finalist himself, so they will declare the 10-pointer and also the victory under themselves here, but CarlJr is still leading. CarlJr is leading with a lead of 0.04 here, and also gets a good amount of speed, but the ending will decide it who is going for the most amount of risks here, as CarlJr gets a good approach, but Hugo with a great approach as well. He has more speed, and CarlJr gets sniped in the ending from hugo220 here, a 59.58, and CarlJr gets denied. Hugo will will stay ahead even in the pressure, and that's what I was talking about. Hugo is able to deny even top level players, and with that Hugo is up to 110 points. So Hugo can definitely make it with another 10-pointer. He will accompany CarlJr in the finalist mode, but he needs to get himself firstly a victory, which is of course very hard against players like that, especially against CarlJr, who's playing out of his mind throughout this whole tournament and is right now leading as well. However, Aurel and MiQuatro got it very well as well, but now it's really important to not steer as much on the ice as possible. Aurel got it really good here, and we have a grand final in our hands now. CarlJr is not closing it out and actually made a mistake. CarlJr with a mistake, and we won't have a winner here. We won't have a winner in this round. He actually DNF'd to get his mental game correct again. But if Hugo doesn't win, and it doesn't look like that, he will still be in finalist alone. But Hugo with a great line there. Maybe he can make something happen in the ending. He has nothing to do. He can risk it so much. Hugo with so much speed, and Hugo will snipe it. Hugo with the snipe and a 59.49. Hugo is also in finalist. What was that ending from Hugo? Double final situation. hugo220, who won the 2 last rounds in a row. Can he make it? Is he denying CarlJr the victory, who was arguably playing the best, but was stumbling a bit, and now he is pushing it? But actually Hugo with a mistake. Hugo with an early mistake there, and he will not make it. So now CarlJr has the 3rd finalist attempt in his hands, but gets such a risky line there. Aurel with the oversteer, so MiQuatro is only there to deny him. MiQuatro is there to deny him, gets a good chunk of speed there, but still CarlJr is leading. CarlJr leading the round here with a comfortable lead of 0.2 of a second, and 3 times is the charm. And with that, CarlJr can make it. The 3rd finalist attempt, and he can win the Solary Cup 2021, and only one more part there to go. CarlJr with a good amount of speed, and CarlJr will take it. CarlJr wins it here after a very dominant performance, and a 59.43 is enough for him. That is a great time and a deserved victory, even though he was stumbling a bit. But yeah, CarlJr takes it. GG. Well, so what a surprise that CarlJr won the tournament. Yeah, we all know it, but yeah, he's just the greatest of all time. 1,000 euro for CarlJr, and he is taking it. We're also gonna play it for second position because the second place goes home with 500 euro, and third and fourth with 250. So we have this map here, Wisdom 2, which was the first map that we have seen. And yeah, good luck to the players as we have one warm-up before we're gonna go live. One warm-up before we are starting here on this beautiful map. Man, this emote is so great. I love it so much. It's such a great emote. Oh, it's so good. Oh, I love it. Okay. It's so great. Okay, so good luck to the players. Let's see who will take second. Is Hugo gonna close it out in his second finals attempt or not? I mean, he was crumbling under the pressure in the first finals attempt, but can he make it now or not? That is the question. Can he do it or not? Let's see. Aurel and MiQuatro are not there yet. They need to win at least 2 more rounds in Aurel's case, and 3 rounds have to be won, or have to be winning material for MiQuatro. Let's take a look. Let's see who will take it. Is it MiQuatro or Aurel who are denying Hugo the victory here, the second position, and with that 500 euro, or will Hugo take it? That's the question. Very close round thus far. Very, very close round. And yeah, Aurel with that leading. But Hugo is not that far behind. And of course the bump. And with that the gear will decide it. Hugo is in the lead because Aurel has made a mistake. But MiQuatro can still deny him. MiQuatro can still deny him. Great bump from MiQuatro. But Hugo with a better alignment. And Hugo can get himself that second place. And yes, he will do so indeed. Hugo is getting second position in the Solary Cup 2021. And with that 500 euro into his pocket. GG. Man, what a grand final that was. So Aurel and MiQuatro on third and fourth, but still a great performance from them. I'm not sure if we're gonna play for third, but it doesn't matter. Because third and fourth have the same amount of money, but maybe for the statistics. But let's just focus on this one as well. So they're not in finals yet, but let's just focus on the fight between them. And see if they can make it or not. MiQuatro not with a good start here though. Getting a bit of a slowdown. And also here, not really good. Clipping his back wheel. There's back right wheel. And with that, he falls down to P number 2. I mean, what would you expect if there are only 2 players on the field or on the racetrack? Aurel is leading though. So Aurel leads and it's his round to lose. And with that, he can go up to 115 points. Hugo. Yeah, Hugo won, of course. Oh, man. So Aurel wins it here in the first round. After Hugo has won, Aurel gets first with a 58.14. And then we see MiQuatro on second. So Aurel with a victory, he would, with a second place, he would be in finalist mode already. And MiQuatro needs at least 2 more rounds. Alright, let's take a look. MiQuatro with a great start though, but this round is not really mattering too much because MiQuatro has to win this next round anyway. because then there is there Aurel is finalist then, so not really from significance, as Aurel and MiQuatro are fighting. It's still out for the momentum, you know, they're fighting out for the momentum. And with that, MiQuatro is in second, gets a good amount of speed. Maybe he can practice the end a bit. I would actually use that in this round to practice the ending, but maybe also to show my opponent, yeah, I'm still here. You know, I can still make it. But yeah, Aurel takes it, and he will be in finalist regardless what position he's in. And he gets a sub 58. Third and fourth get the same. They get 250 euro. And yo, Krupp, thank you so much for the resub. Thank you. 3 months already. That is great. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. So this could be the last round of the evening. MiQuatro versus Aurel. Aurel and finalist. If MiQuatro denies him, we're gonna go to the next map. He will go to the next map then. Aurel with such a great line. They're also a great minimization of airtime. And with that, he finds himself in first position. 0.1 ahead, 0.15 ahead of MiQuatro. So that is a great line, but MiQuatro comes back with a great line here, but not the best amount of speed he accumulated for MiQuatro. But the ending is still there. The bump where you have to hold your gear after this part is there, but MiQuatro with a mistake, and he is down. He lost a lot of time with that, and Aurel can just take it easy here. He can also get the gear down, and with that, we have the GG. The third place goes to Aurel. Fourth is MiQuatro, but still a great final. GG.